Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Sonny of General Hospital is nearing the end, spoiler, is the reason his days of ruling Port Charles are over. By providing rival Sidwell with the means to take the Teflon Don and his criminal enterprise to new heights, General Hospital has just cemented Sonny's position as a major force in Port Charles. Sonny's untouchable. What was the situation? In Port Charles, Sonny has essentially done anything he wants and gotten away with it for years. Heck, he never even went to trial for the cold-blooded murder of a federal agent. However, Sidwell appears to be his match. Ask Ms. Wu, the new big bad is always one step ahead of his rivals. And now, strangely, by giving the Godfather what he himself desired, he has put Sonny exactly where he wants him. Sidwell created the impression that Sonny had engaged in bribery by making a sizable and untraceable contribution into the bank account of the judge who gave custody of Wiley and Amelia to Michael rather than Willow. Why is it important? Michael will never forgive his father for using deceitful methods to give Willow the upper hand while deciding on the children's permanent custody, even if Sonny might likely get away with just another slap on the wrist. What takes place next? Marco's father will only threaten to expose the mobster's payoff when Sidwell is ready to make Sonny comply with his orders. Sonny will be forced to follow instructions or else he runs the risk of losing Michael and the children. A covert storm. General Hospital spoilers, Jason erupts, Willow begs for quiet. Intense drama is revealed by General Hospital spoilers as secrets begin to surface in Port Charles. Jason lashes out at Albrecht, Tracy gives a startling update, and Willow pleads with Isaiah to remain silent. In the meantime, Sonny and Justine argue once more, but this time there are potentially harmful sparks involved. General Hospital spoilers, Willow presses Isaiah to tell her Willow Tate is in danger, according to General Hospital spoilers. She will advise Isaiah Gannon to conceal something. If the secret gets out, it may be disastrous. Willow seems shaken at GH. Perhaps because of what he witnessed in the nursery, she begs Isaiah to keep silent. Was there a clue he might have found linking Willow to the Daisy Gilmore confusion? It's enough to raise suspicions even if it's not concrete evidence. Isaiah may become dubious of Willow's request. He must choose between protecting Willow and acting morally. This tension might quickly get out of control, particularly if Michael discovers what Willow is concealing. Suspicions grow after Michael cuts off the chase. Michael Corinthos will end a fight. Michael won't listen to Harrison Chase's attempt to defend Willow. Michael makes it plain that he has finished speaking. Chase won't give up easily, though. He will contend that Willow merits assistance rather than criticism. Michael may eventually acknowledge his suspicion that Willow is the stalker of Daisy. Chase may detect Michael's skepticism and caution him against making snap judgments, whether or not he discloses it. General Hospital spoilers, Jason Morgan is tense, Carly joins Lulu's fight, and Jason warns Albrecht. He approaches Liesl Albrecht and tells her to move away. She shouldn't interfere with Rocco Falconeri's connection with his parents, according to Jason. Albrecht is able to defend herself. She is merely responding to the boys' inquiries concerning Britt. Jason, however, has doubts about her intentions. He worries that she is separating Rocco from his biological family. Lulu Spencer asks Carly Spencer for assistance at the same moment. She desires that Albrecht leave Rocco's life. Carly consents, but with restrictions. Lulu is likely to comply with Carly's requests. In the middle of all the chaos, Rocco will have a break. Danny Morgan listens with sympathy when he confides in him. As Rocco rants about Britt, Albrecht, and the turmoil in the family, Danny listens. As the boys' connection grows, Rocco gains some much-needed perspective. Tracy turns around on Sonny. Tracy Quartermaine surprises everyone with a surprising turn of events back at the Quartermaine estate. She discloses a significant change to her intentions with Sonny Corinthos. Tracy might choose not to give the police the evidence after talking with Jen Sidwell and Marco Rios. It's a significant change. Her choice could make all the difference, particularly if she has chosen to protect Sonny, for the time being. However, alliances are always short-lived in Port Charles. General Hospital spoilers, Laura recruits Dante for a secret mission. Laura Collins puts Dante Falconeri in a delicate situation at the police station. She begs for his assistance while insisting on anonymity. Dante might be conflicted. However, Laura's desperation will probably persuade him to help, even if it means breaking the law. Sunny and Justine fight, but sparks fly at last. Sunny Corinthos and Ada Justine Turner square off once more. They talk about the impending softball game, which intensifies their verbal sparring. "Don't you dare," Justine cautions him, implying that a heated exchange is imminent. Sunny, though, is relishing the task. He is still attempting to get Justine to drop out of his case. But they are both affected by an unexpected encounter together. Is this a prelude to a risky romance, or something more nefarious? Spoilers for General Hospital, Liz discovers Willow was gaslighting Sasha. According to General Hospital teasers, Willow Tate has temporarily moved in with Elizabeth Baldwin. Living together could strengthen the bonds between Willow and Liz, who are already close friends from their time working together at GH. Liz also saw that Willow needed some mental health care and was not in excellent health. After Liz was able to piece everything together, she discovered that Willow was the one who was gaslighting Sasha Corbin, which led to her leaving town. Elizabeth Baldwin finds out that Sasha Corbin was gaslight. Port Charles is a tiny town, and Liz finds out, likely from Dr. Lucas Jones, that Sasha departed Port Charles abruptly for reasons. He was able to inform her that baby Daisy was being gaslight. Liz would be outraged and startled to learn that Sasha's kid was being pursued. She would initially question who it might be. Elizabeth Baldwin begins to realize that Willow Tate is mentally unstable. In addition to living with Willow, Liz would also be working with her. Liz might grow worried about Willow's actions after spending so much time with her. When she and Rick Lansing discovered her upset in Carly Spencer's house, she was already worried about her. She could see that Willow's moods fluctuate and that she behaves differently every day. She might even occasionally see some hysterical behavior. Elizabeth Baldwin tells Nina Reeves she may go talk to Nina Reeves about Willow's actions and let her know that she's worried. Nina would be ecstatic and start talking about how she believed Willow would be better off without Drew Kane and that she might now need to take action. Liz could question what Nina is trying to say when she gives her a mysterious hint. Nina would dismiss it with a shrug and advise her not to worry. Liz would question how Willow could have done anything so heinous. As the pieces come together, Liz would begin to suspect Willow of gaslighting Sasha and forcing her to flee Port Charles with Daisy. General Hospital spoilers, is the unidentified investor in Dalton's lab research Caesar Faison still alive? According to General Hospital spoilers, even though Caesar Faison is long dead, it's likely that he is the unidentified financier of Professor Henry Hank Dalton's laboratory experiments. It's time to discuss the most intriguing clue that was revealed in the Monday, August 4th episode. Since Jens Sidwell told Dalton about his slow progress on the lab research project and how unhappy their male mystery investor was, fans have started speculating about the mystery investor. Having said that, Britt informed Pascal at the Five Poppies Resort in the August 4th episode that the employer wanted her to be satisfied. Later in the show, she also had a really gentle phone conversation with that mystery boss. Additionally, Faison's name was addressed in that episode, and Liesl Albrecht and Anna Devane discussed their pasts. Since fans are aware that previous characters are rarely mentioned unless they are connected to a developing plot, is Faison still alive and the mystery boss that everyone has been talking about? Fans of Huntington disease treatment are aware that Britt's father, Faison, passed on Huntington's disease to her. Like Albrecht, there was love between the two despite their complex connection. If Faison is still living, he might have spent his entire life funding research to save his daughter. He would undoubtedly have the money to support anything like this as he was always extremely wealthy. Britt's current location and the shots she has been taking before bed may be explained by this. This may also account for her participation in the aforementioned research and the fact that she appeared to have a personal bond with each person she spoke with over the phone. Adding Faison back into the scene would give her a lot of turmoil because, in her meeting with Anna, Albrecht expressed guilt for putting him above her kid. Considering how enamored Anna used to be with her, she would also be extremely anxious. Last but not least, there would be friction between Britt and Liesl as the mother frantically attempts to resume their conversation, which may prove challenging now that Faison has become involved in Britt's life. In addition, she might wonder why Britt was gone for so long and blame Faison for denying her daughter access to her. Is Faison still living? Is he the boss with the huge mystery? Is Willow at the center of Chase's challenge to Michael? Chase then confronts Michael on GH. Sunny establishes a bond. Dante is called by Laura. Chase has made it his mission to be Brooklyn's devoted spouse. However, even he has his limitations. Recently, he had a talk with his wife that didn't go as planned. Both she and he are prepared to adopt in the future. Before she and Chase raise a family, she would like to gain favor with Gio. The man is irritated. Chase will have what will surely be yet another annoying chat on Wednesday. This most likely has to do with Willow when Chase confronts Michael. They can be approaching this from various angles when it comes to their ex. Chase doesn't know as much about Willow's past as she does. Michael, meantime, is fully aware of her unstable behavior. The conversation between Michael and Chase could be amicable or tense and angry. What direction will this go? Keeping the drama in the family, Laura calls Dante in as Sunny connects. Is this a matter for the mayor? Perhaps she wants to discuss Rocco with her ex-son-in-law if it isn't related to her work life. The family seems to be talking about that a lot right now. Laura has been able to support her grandson as he has dealt with the revelation of his strange birth origin tale, and Rocco is interested in learning more about his past. Danny gives advice to Rocco, who is determined to learn as much as he can about Britt, in addition to the talk between Laura and Dante. He doesn't see her in the same black and white manner as Dante and Lulu, it turns out. What guidance does Danny give Rocco, then? At last, Lulu has a supporter. What makes an ally necessary for her? Does she feel compelled to take extra precautions to keep her son safe from Albrecht? Instead of forming allies, Lulu has lately seemed to be all about taking on adversaries like Brooklyn and Liesel. Carly appears to be the ally she goes to, based on the video peek at the end of the episode. Though calm, the days that followed were tense. Carly found it difficult to talk to Dante or Anna. After moving out, Joss spent some time with Trina. There was a deafening hush between mother and daughter. However, one evening, Carly was looking at an old picture of Jocelyn when she was 10 years old, smiling, missing her front teeth, and covered in flour after making cookies. Her heart's pain changed. This was not Jocelyn's overnight transformation. She had always been passionate, fierce, and fierce. She'd learned that from Carly. Perhaps this defection was motivated by hereditary strength rather than animosity or disobedience. Misguided. Careless. But authentic. Days later, they happened to meet on the docks. At first, Carly remained silent. Joss didn't either. However, there was something softer behind Carly's eyes when she eventually turned to face her. "You might have perished," she muttered. Carly uttered the words, "I know. I'm still angry. I know. I love you." Joss nodded, tears in her eyes. They stood there, not knowing what to do, and said, "I'm still your daughter." Forgiveness would be a long journey. However, the initial step had been completed. And that was everything in Port Charles. It had been a while since Jason was sure of anything. Since his return to Port Charles, his world, which had previously been characterized by keen intuition and resolute choices, had been increasingly gloomy and uncertain. He was unable to deny that he saw her, though. He had been given the opportunity to move in silence and temporary incognito in Paris. He had been gathering information for an undercover mission, not searching for ghosts. Nevertheless, spirits had discovered him. At Charles de Gaulle Airport, he just saw a glimpse of her, a blonde hair flash, a profile tilted toward a boarding gate, and the distinctive stance of someone who had previously meant more to him than he would ever acknowledge. She couldn't have done it. Britt had left. She was taken by Huntington's disease. Or so they thought. At first, he didn't even mention her name out loud. He simply sat there, the image eating away at him. And then he called to Carly. Carly was the only one who understood how profoundly Britt had impacted him and how her passing had carved something out of him that he hadn't even recognized until she was gone. He didn't trust many people. Carly didn't immediately think he was insane when Jason told her what he had seen. Rather, she paid attention. "Are you certain?" Quietly, she inquired. "No," he acknowledged. Carly only needed to hear, "But I've been sure of less and acted anyway." There must have been something to it if Jason was moved enough to bring it up. Liesl Albrecht was still grieving in her own way, quietly and painfully, back in Port Charles. The wound hadn't healed, but she hadn't talked about Britt much lately. She reacted viscerally when Jason contacted her with the limited information he had. Her hands shook and her voice faltered. Though her emotions betrayed her mistrust, she refused to entertain false optimism. It would imply that all Britt had mourned had been based on a falsehood if she were still alive, had she staged her death, or been driven into hiding. However, another issue arose. Not long ago, Heather Weber was discharged from the hospital after some legal wrangling that nobody in town really understood. The lady who used to paint chaos like art was back on the loose, and she was already making people uncomfortable at the Metro Court bar, showing up in the background of discussions, and staying outside Kelly's for too long. Before long, someone noticed her conversing with Nina. It was a casual, somewhat amicable conversation that became strangely pointed when Britt's name was mentioned. Heather smirked and remarked, "I hear some people think the dead walk again." Although Heather had a talent for causing mayhem, this went beyond simple mischief. There were unresolved issues from her past with Britt, which became entangled in the hectic weeks leading up to the latter's purported death. Heather had always hated being overshadowed, and Britt's return, even whispered, might tempt her into revenge or disclosure. Heather had her sights set on the changing storyline in town, whether it was out of curiosity, envy, or some perverted mother instinct. Jason understood he needed to take action. Someone was keeping Britt hidden, if she was still alive. He took a plane back to Europe and started over. The airport's surveillance film had been deleted. It was too expertly clean to be a coincidence. Only intelligence officers or protected witnesses had their names blacked and marked as classified on the boarding manifest for the gate where he spotted her. And Britt had no cause to be either, unless the Huntington's diagnosis had been fabricated and she'd gone underground for another purpose entirely. Carly started excavating from her end in the meantime. She asked Dante whether there was anything off the record about Heather's release during their meeting. Due to a judge's ruling, the specifics were unclear. Anna was of no assistance. Her typical openness was obscured by her own conflicting allegiances. Everyone appeared to be one step behind what was obviously a larger event. Rumors about Britt's comeback went viral back in Port Charles. Someone who appeared to be Britt entered through the East Wing exit and disappeared, according to a GH nurse. 2 nights earlier, a bartender at the Savoy claimed to have served a woman who had Britt's laugh and demeanor, but when he looked up, she had left. More tormented than optimistic, Liesl started to doubt her own sanity. She was looking at pictures, contrasting old film of her daughter with Metro Court CCTV catches. She had lost her sense of reality. Then one night Britt showed up. Not to the general public. Not to Jason. Not to her mom. To Spinelli, however. Since he was not involved in the conflict and was unlikely to be pursued, he was the most secure contact. She met him outside of Albany at a storage facility. She appeared worn down but resilient, aged by secrets more than disease. "You're not ill," Spinelli exclaimed incredulously. "No," she answered. "I was not going to die." "I was," they said, "but it wasn't Huntington's." She wouldn't give him all the details, saying, "I had to disappear to survive, it was something else." Not quite yet. But she did make one request: tell Jason nothing. Not just yet. Heather wasn't keeping her suspicions to herself back in Port Charles. She started to show up around the hospital more frequently. She once slapped Liesl after cornering her outside the cafeteria and said, "You'll see her again, but she won't be who you remember." Jason, meanwhile, was unable to give up on leads. He wasn't sleeping, wasn't talking much, and would simply vanish for hours at a time, which alarmed Carly. Then an unidentified number called. It said, "Stop searching for her." That voice was familiar to him. Britt. However, the line died before he could say anything further. Jason filled Carly in on everything. Liesl started crying when they finally confronted her, despite her insistence that they do so. She was unaware. Although she had not heard her daughter's voice in almost a year, she still wanted to believe. The news that Jason had may shatter her to pieces. The challenging phase was about to begin. What was Britt hiding from, if she was still alive? And who was keeping her away? And how did Heather relate to the quiet? Jason wasn't alone in his determination to learn the truth. Now that she was certain, Liesl devoted all of her energies to tracking down former WSB connections. Carly kept an eye on visitor behavior using her Metro Court credentials. And despite Britt's warning, Spinelli, ever faithful, did what he had to. One thing became evident as the pieces began to fit together: Britt's disappearance was unrelated to her sickness. She had fallen victim to something more serious, something so deadly that she might pretend to have a terminal illness and disappear. And like a vulture spotting a carcass, Heather may be circling it all in her typical manner. Nobody knew what would happen next, whether it was love, guilt, or retaliation that pushed Britt back to the surface. Only that everyone who believed they know how her narrative ended would have to face the consequences when she did, at last, fully emerge. Nancy Lee Grahn of GH makes fun of Alexis' romance with a serious question. One picture caught the attention of fans of the ABC soap opera star. Nancy Lee Grahn, a star of General Hospital, is skilled at mocking her alter ego, Alexis. Alexis has tense ties with her baby fathers on the show, particularly with Rick and Sonny. The actress gave viewers something to talk about over the weekend by utilizing the drama among Alexis, Sonny, and Rick. A picture of Alexis with Hearst and Bernard from the yearly GH fan convention was shared by Alexis and her baby daddy's grandmother. As the three soap opera stars posed for the photo, everyone was grinning. Grahn raised an urgent query in her caption. After all, on the ABC soap opera, Bernard and Hearst portray the dads of two of her children. She chose to joke about Alexis' somewhat terrible love life with her admirers, saying things like, "My two baby daddies." It's made even more ugly by the fact that they are siblings. The cute Instagram picture she shared included the message, #WhoWasBetter #GH at Morris Bernard at Rick Hearst. Fans' attention was undoubtedly drawn to the #WhoWasBetter. As fans of GH are aware, Sonny and Rick are brothers who despise one another and have both dated Alexis, so it was really funny. Fans comment. Some GH fans responded to Grahn's question and shared their opinions about the image. Who was superior? Tell us, girl, one fan said. That's what makes us a soap, remarked another enthusiast. Hee hee. Love all these actors. Another fan said, this is simultaneously fantastic and hysterical. I adore it. Wow, what a delicious sandwich, a fan said. Several responses merely said that it was a lovely shot and that it was nice to see these three GH stars together, but one fan had a clear view about Alexis' baby daddy's writing. I'm still salty that they broke Sonny and Alexis up in 2002, still my all-time favorite couple. We are here for everything involving Grahn, Bernard, and Hearst, whether it's on or off screen, even though we may never be able to determine who is superior. Willow's next man and Sidwell's plot unveiled? Jack Brennan threatens them. However, Anna Devane has one ace in her sleeve. Harrison Chase also supports Willow Tate. Marco Rios is also questioned by Justine Turner. When Anna Devane's black hood is removed at the WSB, she recognizes Brennan as the hostage. Instead of taking such drastic measures, he should simply give her a call the next time. Jack maintains that he is saving her because she is dangerously close to jeopardizing a case. Brennan understands the gravity of having Anna abducted. Telling her everything is a new strategy he wants to explore. Professor Henry Hank Dalton is conducting research into cold fusion, according to Jack Brennan. Because cold fusion has the potential to be used as a weapon, Jocelyn Jacks is involved. Brennan's decision to make Joss an agent infuriates Anna. Joss is skilled at what she does, according to Brennan. Jack says he will accuse Anna of treason. She smiles, nevertheless, knowing that Jack is also confined. Then, as she leaves, Anna tells Carly Spencer that there will be hell to pay when she finds out. Anna also remembers hearing about Britt Westbourne from Jason Morgan. Over at the Quartermain home, Michael Corinthos shares his intelligence with Dante Falconeri. Willow Tate was the one who targeted Sasha Gilmore Corbin and Daisy Gilmore Corinthos, the father informs the detective. Michael responds that the children are no longer safe with Willow when Dante inquires about starting an investigation. Willow Tate's next man Harrison Chase meets Willow in the hospital. Chase tells the nurse that her children are doing well when she inquires about them. Willow must now figure out how to repair all of the harm. Carly glares at Willow as she walks by. She is asked to give the nurse a minute of her time. Willow believes Carly was correct and attempts to apologize for everything. Carly clarifies, though, that Nellie Benson made the same statement, and she doesn't believe it. Carly strides off after adding that she's not the one who needs to apologize anyway. Portia Robinson's update. Portia Robinson meets Curtis Ashford at the Metro Court. She learns of the truce with Drew Kane from the man. The congressman still has Portia's blackmail details. During their conversation, Curtis acknowledges that he hasn't supported her as much as he ought to have. Justine Turner versus Marco Rios. The camera then pans to Tracy Quartermaine, Jen Sidwell, and Marco after Curtis describes Portia's bravery as hot. Tracy recently learned of Sonny Corinthos' poor financial decision. The antagonist poses as astonished. Tracy says that although Sonny's investment was returned, they will have to give it to the police. She is told no by Sidwell. Tracy is not requesting authorization. Turner then shows up to interrogate Marco. The attorney refuses to accompany Turner. She then blurts out that he made a false statement to the authorities. It was Sonny who actually had him abducted. Marco merely states that he signed his declaration. Turner walks away. Returning to Sidwell, he warns Tracy that if she reveals herself now, she won't have a business left to defend. Marco claims Sonny did a good job of hiding his tracks. Sidwell is aware that the custody judge for Willow and Michael was bought off. He thinks it was probably Sonny. What a serpent! She brings Lucas Jones his mail over with Carly. The blonde wants him to return home because she misses him. Everything revolves on Sonny, and Lucas promises him a place of his own. Anytime he wants to visit, a key will be available for him. The bombshell of Jason Morgan. Sonny and Jason drink by the pool. The mob leader is informed by the right-hand man that Britt is still alive. Turner then breaks in to question Sonny over the baseball game. Sonny claims that everything with Turner is proceeding as planned after she departs. Justine's threat, Laura's secret, Willow's frantic request, and Jason's warning. Will Albrecht pay attention on the next GH? Jason confronts her and issues a dire warning regarding Rocco. Rocco Falconeri will receive advice from Danny Morgan. Dante Falconeri receives a secret from Laura Collins. Harrison Chase also challenges Michael Corinthos. Michael Corinthos versus Harrison Chase. Let's start with Chase, who approaches Michael following a private conversation with Willow Tate. It's still too soon to trust Willow, despite the fact that she puts on a decent front for Chase and Carly Spencer. But Willow and Chase have been pals for a while. They even got married at one point since it was Chase's final desire. Chase will so approach Michael and make an effort to make things better for Willow. However, the father is unwilling to hear whatever the detective has to say. Willow Tate's appeal while Chase attends to Michael at the hospital. Willow goes to speak with someone. Isaiah Gannon is urged by the nurse to keep her words private. Will she acknowledge that she was the one who tampered with Daisy and Sasha Gilmore Corinthos? Lulu Spencer's alliance. Lulu Spencer attempts to form an alliance, according to General Hospital spoilers. The reporter stops by Carly's place. Carly states in a teaser video that she will take Lulu's suggestion into consideration, but only under one restriction. Although Lulu appears quite enthusiastic, Carly stated that she would consider it. Fans can anticipate Sonny Corinthos connecting on tomorrow's episode. Dante is called in by Laura, who requests that he keep something private. Justine Turner also refaces Sonny. Danny also gives Rocco advice. For Liesl Albrecht, Jason Morgan has a unique request. Tracy Quartermaine also reports that plans at the office have changed. She may therefore be considering the suggestions made by Marco Rios and Jen Sidwell regarding the poor investment. But I question whether that will simply make it easier for Sidwell and Marco to get what they desire. Although Marco is a kind man, the kidnapping and death of Natalia Ramirez altered him. As she flipped through patient papers she wouldn't be seeing for much longer, Portia sat behind her desk, battling the pain in her chest. She was startled by the soft knock on her door, and she forced a small grin when she saw Isaiah standing in the doorway. With cautious but optimistic hands in his pockets, he entered. His voice was low as he said, "I'm glad you're still here. Does this imply that you will not be departing after all?" She swallowed the lump in her throat and shook her head. She said, "I still have plans to do it." Isaiah sighed and leaned against the side of her desk, saying, "I have to." He admitted, "You're a big part of the reason I stayed. This hospital feels more like home than any other. And you're to blame for that." Portia gulped back tears. "I will also miss you." In another part of the city, Rocco stood nervously outside Laura's workplace before summoning the bravery to knock. Startled but delighted to see him, she opened the door. He started tinkering with the hem of his shirt, saying, "Grandma, may I ask you a favor?" He described what had transpired inside, including how he had texted Albrecht, how she had visited him, and how his parents had gone crazy upon learning about it. He claimed to like Albrecht. As a newborn, she told him stories about himself that his parents had never told him. Though he wasn't sure how to approach his parents about it, he wanted to see her once more. Laura nodded as she listened intently. She reminded him that his parents had a difficult relationship with Albrecht. Britt had stolen their embryo, which resulted in his birth. Furthermore, Albrecht herself had committed a number of dubious acts. Rocco acknowledged, "I read about some of it online." Albrecht had seemed to evolve throughout the years, and Laura accepted that people might change. Lulu, however, didn't think so. "Laura said that your parents might begin to understand if you talk to them the way you've talked to me." Maxie was attempting to maintain objectivity between Brooklyn and Lulu at the pool, but it was proving to be challenging. "You deserve to know your own tale, but do it gently." Maxie said, "Brooklyn, you opened a whole can of worms with Britt and Albrecht." Before she could respond, Lulu rushed forward. "My son got in touch with Albrecht." She spat at Brooklyn, saying, "And it's your fault. Gio was given to you. A lovely child. And you pay me back like this?" Brooklyn recoiled. "Rocco finding out the way he did was not my intention," she stated. Maxie attempted to reconcile the situation by pointing out that Rocco had contacted Albrecht directly, saying, "But perhaps Dante should have told him the truth a long time ago." Lulu retorted, "She's his last link to Britt. Britt was a thief. She has nothing to do with my son." Lulu didn't think twice when Laura called to ask to see her. She remarked sourly, "What I'm doing here doesn't matter anyway," and turned to leave. When Kai ran into Joss across town, he could see she wasn't too happy to see him. She didn't mince words. She said, "You broke Trina's heart." Kai shrugged and said, "But perhaps you've finally seen who Drew really is." "Drew was never a saint to me. However, I didn't end our relationship because of him." Joss looked at him and said, "I did what I thought was right. Perhaps you'll understand if you wind up by yourself, without family or friends, and with only Drew's twisted beliefs remaining." Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.